to hopefully another entertaining episode of Create Simple Meals. I am your host and cook, John Phillips, and hopefully this will be a very enjoyable experience for you today. So today we're going to do a whole baked apple pie. My wife kept trying to get us the last episode this month of we've been doing desserts. We started off with the chess pie. We did a dump cake. Forget what else we did. We did something else. But this week we're going to end it up with the whole baked apple pie. So what you do is you're taking a whole apple. You're going to peel it, core it, stuff it with some caramel candies. Roll it in some cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, a little bit of salt, and then you're going to wrap that in the puff pastry, sprinkle some raw sugar on that, and you're going to bake it, put it in the freezer, let it firm up, and then you're going to bake it at 400 degrees for roughly 15 to 20 minutes. So, real simple recipe, first time doing it. I can tell you right now, let me grab these apples out. I can tell you right now, the hardest part so far for me was coring these apples. I do not have an apple core, and I wasn't going to buy one because I probably ain't going to be coring no apples anytime soon, well, at least not no whole apples. So, to show you how difficult or easy, your mileage may vary, it is, I'm going to do one, but I've already done 3 of them off screen. And as you see, one of them I split. All right, so we're going to sit here. We're going to try and do what I did to let you see how I attempted to core without a core. So I'm pushing the knife all the way through. Try to stay with the same lines, pushing the knife all the way through. And what I'm trying to do is actually just make a square. Be very careful because you are, moving with a sharp object and going in this jabbing motion. But you want to push it all the way through. Then what I was attempting to do is push it out. And that's the part where it didn't work for me. So what I decided to do on the one that was somewhat successful, that took me a butter knife. And I just start twisting and turning until I get it up out of there. The reason I don't peel it first is because that peel, because I can already see this one split a little bit, that peel is helping me not split it open. All right, getting that up out of there. Go in from the bottom. All right, there we gonna get it all cored out. Now, if you're gonna be doing this on a regular basis, you might want to invest yourself in a apple core. But, like I said, I've never even made an apple pie before. I normally don't cook with whole apples. All right. So another thing we're going to be doing today is some fried salmon. But we'll get to that in a minute. While you're sitting here watching me peel this apple, please click that like button, click that share button. Share it with your friends, your families. Hell, share it with your enemies if you want to. Just share it. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and on Instagram. Your comments are definitely appreciated, so please reach out to us and give us some ideas you want to see here on Create Simple Meals. All right, so now that's done. Got this all cored out. We're going to grab a little shallow plate. And what we're going to put in here is we have, actually, I'm going to put it in a bowl first and then put it in. We're going to have about a quarter cup of white sugar. We have half a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of nutmeg, and a quarter teaspoon of allspice. We got a quarter teaspoon of just kosher salt, and we got some cornstarch, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. And basically, it's gonna just mix that all together. You can get fancy and whisk it or whatnot, but you're just mixing your sugar mixture together. All right, now that's all done. Roll that out on the plate, and then we're gonna roll the apples in this mixture. You want to get as much of it around as you can. Set them off to the side. Now, I was debating the My wife was like, "You want me to run to the store and get apple core?" I'm like, "Nah, you know what? We said we was gonna be real and show them. So since I started to do this without the core, we gonna finish it without the core, and they'll see. You probably want to go get a core, because as I told you, that apple there, which I still might try and use it, broke apart. Okie dokie. As you see, as the apples sit, they are gonna get brown, but don't you worry about that, because you're gonna bake these things off anyway. And baked fruit's gonna turn brown. This one's gonna get all up in there since it's open anyway. Alright, now that we have that done, we're gonna take, we're gonna take some caramel candies, and we're just gonna stuff these down the center. Actually, let me see, I didn't bring that white cutting board out here. Get up. Stuff these down the center. I chilled these caramels because they were kind of little soft ones. So you want to chill them so they don't be messing all, getting all mushy while you're trying to work with them. Stuff these down in there. Now it says put 3 caramels in each apple. You may not get all 3. This is one of them recipes where the measurements is kind of pointless. You stuff what you can stuff in there. You roll the sugar in there as much as you can, and you call it a day. Don't overthink it and complicate yourself. All right. That would work. Now we're gonna sit here and we're gonna try and hope that these puff pastries do us right. You're basically gonna just take them and wrap them over there. Now I'm a cheat because I use puff pastries and a few other meals, so I always got these puff pastry squares. But when you buy them in the grocery store, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take those sheets and cut them into 4 pieces. Me, I'm cheap. Mine was already cut into squares because I shop at a wholesaler, Restaurant Depot. And I'm able to get mine already pre-cut. Grab this one on there. You want to bring them not quite to room temperature, but you definitely want to thaw them out and get them kind of soft so that you can actually maneuver these things. Now, if you're one of those people that really like fancy baked goods, what you could do is take a piece of the puff pastry and cut it out into some fancy little leaves or whatnot and decorate the apple. All the pictures I've seen on Pinterest and whatnot, they had it done like that, but we ain't doing all that. All right, this one, let's see how we can throw it on there. And actually, one would actually do it, just gotta maneuver it more and then pinch the seams. What I would recommend is, if it doesn't, because you don't have to get it perfect unless you're trying to sell these things. If it doesn't completely close on the seam, just put the solid part on the bottom and then leave that part open. It'll bubble out, but that's gonna be good and gooey. See, can we get this one in there? This is the one that's broke. I'm gonna put that's why I haven't put the caramel in that one yet. I want to get it on there first, then stick these caramels down up in there. All right, now here is the most important step about this particular recipe. I'm gonna have to put these in the freezer for about 15 or 20 minutes. Not to freeze, but you want to firm them up. So before we do that, just take some of this. They call it demure sugar. It ain't nothing but that raw sugar. I'm gonna be honest with you. What I started to do, because I couldn't find it at first, I was starting to go to Starbucks and grab some of them brown packages and call it a day. But then I had to stop at the dollar store, and just so happened they had some there. So dust all that on there. And after that, I'm gonna go run these in the house, put them in the freezer, and I'm gonna come back and tell y'all about this salmon we about to fry. All right, let me run these in, and I'll be right back in about 22 seconds. All right. All right, folks. Now we're gonna get to this salmon. So I got some salmon here, and we actually had fried salmon last night. So I'm gonna do it again tonight. So the salmon is basically seasoned with just a little bit of garlic, a little bit of black pepper. That's basically it. And then I put some mustard on it so that the what am I trying to think of? The cornmeal would actually stick. So for this, what I'm using, I like to use Louisiana fish fry mix, but I've learned, in my opinion, it can get a little bit too salty. So what I do is I put 2 parts of the fish fry mix and 1 part of just plain cornmeal, and then I'll add about a half part to cornstarch. So if you're gonna use cups, you do 2 cups of the fish fry, 1 cup of the plain cornmeal, maybe a 1/4 cup to a 1/2 cup of some cornstarch to give it that crispiness. Now I keep mine already mixed up because I fry a lot. We're gonna take these pieces here. Actually, we're gonna cut that off a little bit. We're gonna toss these in some meal, and we're gonna fry these up real quick. Grab me a plate to put these on in between. So you get these nice and battered. Now for salmon, that's like the newest craze now. Everybody want to fry some salmon nowadays. For salmon, you want to fry it at a lower temperature, roughly, like normally fry at 350. I would say between 325 and 350. But more importantly than the degree or the temperature you're frying it at is the temperature you're frying it to. Some of you seasoned fish fries, y'all fry until your fish float. I'm gonna tell you right now, don't do that with your salmon. It's gonna dry out. I would fry it to about 145 degrees internal temperature. It's gonna keep cooking, but salmon is done at 145 degrees. But for those of you that want a little bit more firm, if you do it at 145, you take it out, that residual heat is gonna keep on cooking. Again, folks, if you're just now tuning in, please click those subscribe buttons, click those like buttons, follow us, and share us with your friends and your family. This week we are doing a whole baked apple pie. So if you're just tuning in, we took about a 1/4 cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/4 teaspoon of some allspice, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And we mixed that all together. We took some apples, Granny Smith apples that we peeled and cored. We rolled that in that. We stuffed the inside with some caramel candies. Then we wrapped that in some puff pastries. We rolled that puff pastry in some raw sugar. It is now sitting in the freezer where it's gonna firm up a little bit. And then we're gonna bake that at 400 degrees for roughly 15 to 20 minutes. All right, now we're doing our salmon. So it's some salmon that we season with just some garlic, some black pepper. And then for the meal, we used just some Louisiana fish fry mixed in with some plain cornstarch to cut down on some of that saltiness. And we're gonna fry this till it gets to about 140 degrees, 145 degrees internal temperature. All right, folks, we got that done. It's going over this fryer. I'm gonna drop these bad boys in here. And as always, folks, this show is brought to you by the Self-Employed Tax Guy and Seth Lodge Planner. So for all your business needs, your tax needs, please contact Self-Employed Tax Guy. He is there waiting for you. You can do it virtually. You can do it in person. He's made it real easy to accommodate you. And for all your travel needs, your group travel needs, personal travel needs, please hit up Self-Lodge Planning. We are here for you. I know no one's really trying to travel right now, but after we get off punishment, I know some of y'all gonna be itching to get on a plane, train, automobile, and go somewhere. Self-Lodge Planning will definitely be here to help you. All right. Now, while that's frying, a very good friend of mine, for my 45th birthday, she subscribed me to Rob Vices. And so every month I get a gift. So last month I got this very rare tequila. And so this month what came in is a Caribbean white rum. It's called 10 to 1. Now I haven't tried it yet, so it's my first time trying it because I just got it today. But it's called 10 to 1 because the 10 countries that make up the Caribbean. Rum is now making a comeback in the mixology. Well, you know what? I said I was going to start trying to be more responsible with my drinking. So let me be more responsible with my drinking and stop just free-pouring. I'm still going to pour me a double, but I'm just going to know how much of that double it is. Let's see how this tastes. Now for the fish, we're only going to fry it for about a good 4 or 5 minutes. Pretty good. They got some cocktails in the book you can make with it, but y'all know I like my liquor straight. I like that. All right. Also, so for the fish, we're going to serve this 2 ways. So my daughter wants a salad, so we're going to toss the fried her pieces with some arugula, put a little champagne vinaigrette. You can get it from any store. I'm using one by Gerard's, but it's a champagne vinaigrette or whatever you like. For me, I'd already made up some grits. Regular old grits, just follow the instructions on the box, except I use milk instead of water. Added in some sun-dried tomatoes once they were done, and some smoked Gouda. So I'm gonna have my salmon on top of that. We'll show you that in just a second. Let me go and check this temperature. Oh, okay. Check these, see where they at. Give them a few more minutes. Now, actually a few more seconds. Funny story, so last week we were frying fish. We actually did a salmon show, but something happened with the audio feed, so we hadn't got a chance to post it. We're trying to clean it up. But so I'm sitting here and I'm testing the temperature of the fish. You know, I'm doing my whole spiel like I always do about how important it is to use a thermometer. The other thing that's important is to make sure that gum thermometer is on a degree rating that you can read. I had the damn thing on Celsius, and I'm sitting here like, man, this fish taking way too long because it wasn't on Fahrenheit, and I don't know how to convert it in my head. So just make sure you got it on the right setting if you're going to use a digital thermometer. Speaking of that, make sure I got it on it while I go back over here. One more again. Alrighty, that one is ready. A couple of spot checks. Oh yeah, these are good and ready to go. We're gonna take these out. Drain these off for you and let y'all see what these bad boys look like. Alright folks, so there goes our salmon. Nice and crispy looking. Now I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna eat mine, and then I'm gonna go and make up my daughter's. So I told you before I had some grits, and I just took some, like I say, regular old grits, but I put in some smoked Gouda. I put in the little bit of the oil as well as some sun-dried tomatoes in it. Obviously garlic, because garlic goes with everything. And we just gonna plate that right on there. I ain't gonna do the whole tutorial on this one, because y'all know how to make grits. I done enough grit shows. But I will post the recipe on the website. Take that, put that there. That brings sometimes, so I use these. take these. Like that piece. Put that on there just like that. A little bit of parsley for presentation purposes, I guess. And there we have the shrimp and salmon. I'm gonna go and taste this. Now I'm only tasting this because people told me you gotta taste your food on the show. I tasted it last night, so I know it's pretty good. But let's taste the fish also. Look, the fish, I don't know if that's we can get a good shot in there. But you see, doesn't seem too dried out. Let's taste that. It's hot. Yeah, I'm burning my mouth. But it's good. Now, let me go ahead, wash up my hands, and make up this salad for you. This salad, get this out the way. That's my dinner. So for the salad, we're just gonna grab just a little bit of arugula. Get this out of the way. You can turn that off. We're gonna grab some arugula. Stinks! Your food almost ready. We're gonna add in. I'm gonna put the dressing on the lettuce just because I don't know how much she wants and I don't want to get on the fish. Come on, get that glove on there. Just a little bit of champagne vinaigrette on here. And this makes this otherwise kind of fatty meal just a little bit not so fatty. Grab her a few pieces of fish. Hers on there. And that's not the prettiest plate, but that's the salmon and the fish. So just to recap, today we are doing a whole baked apple pie. We took some Granny Smith apples, we cored and peeled those. We stuffed the center with some caramel candies. We took a quarter cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, a half a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of nutmeg, quarter teaspoon of allspice, quarter teaspoon of salt. We mixed that all together and we rolled the apples in that. We then wrapped them in puff pastry and then rolled that puff pastry in some raw sugar. We put them in the freezer for about 10-15 minutes. Once that's done, we're gonna brush them with an egg wash and we're gonna bake them for about 15 to 20 minutes, let them cool, and then we're gonna enjoy those. For the fish, the salmon, season up some salmon with garlic and black pepper. Then I put mustard on to let it stick. And then I used Louisiana fish fry. I put 2 parts Louisiana fish fry, 1 part just plain old cornstarch, cornmeal, and a little bit of cornstarch to give it that crispy flavor. We fried it off about 4 minutes until it hit about 145 degrees internally. I'm eating mine with some smoked Gouda grits. My daughter gonna have hers with salmon. We're gonna let this those apples finish firming up. We're gonna throw them in the oven and we'll be right back after that and show you the finished meal. While you're waiting, don't forget, subscribe to our channel. Please follow us on Facebook and share us with your friends. See you back here in about 20 minutes or so. Alright folks, and we're back. So we let it cool down. As you see, this is the one split open. You see how it gets all ooey and gooey inside. This is the final version. We're gonna drizzle, just because I'm fat, we're gonna drizzle a little bit more salted caramel on top. This would probably be absolutely excellent with a little bit of ice cream. But, so just to recap, folks, what we did today, we did what they call a whole apple pie, whole baked apple pie. We took an apple pie, we cored it, we peeled it, we rolled that in a mixture of a quarter cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of nutmeg, and half a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of nutmeg, a quarter teaspoon of allspice, quarter teaspoon of salt. We rolled that in there. We stuffed the center of the cored out apple with some caramel candies. We then covered that with a puff pastry, sprinkled the puff pastry with some raw sugar. We put that in the freezer and let that sit for about 10-15 minutes to firm back up. We then had our oven at 400 degrees. We brushed it with an egg wash and we baked it for about 20 minutes until it gets brown and firm. And then just for shits and giggles, we decided to put some caramel topping on top of it. We also did today some fried salmon. So I seasoned up some salmon with a little bit of garlic, a little bit of black pepper. And then for my breading, I used some Louisiana fish fry, but I cut it 2 parts Louisiana fish fry, and I cut it with 1 part of just plain cornmeal. To that, we added in just a little bit of cornstarch, about a half a cup, quarter cup, half a cup, and we fried it for about 4 to 5 minutes until it hit an internal temperature of about 140, 145 degrees. We served it 2 ways, one with some grits that had some smoked Gouda and some sun-dried tomatoes in it, and we also served it on top of some arugula with the champagne vinaigrette. So there you have it, folks. A couple of quick, easy, simple meals right here as always. Until next time, remember, when it comes to cooking, there's absolutely only 3 rules that we have. You must have passion, you must have patience, and you must be willing to practice. Until next time on Create Simple Meals, see us right here. Don't forget to click that subscribe button. Don't forget to follow us, like us, and share us